I was in Phnom Penh about 4 months ago, and there was a huge project that had been stalled by the downturn. And it was, I mean, Phnom Penh's an amazing city and history and so forth. And it looked like they had been to Miami, the South Beach, and they'd seen 2 or 3 of the hotels from the 30s and 50s and decided, it'd be great, let's do 1,000 units like that. And they were halfway through the project, and the project stopped, and there was a sort of floor slab, column, sort of domino house thing, and it sort of evolved towards then ceramic block fill in, and then there was a kind of stucco applique, and then the word sustainability popped up, and then a kind of Miami thing. And it looked like a photograph. I mean, it looked exactly like the photograph. And they were speculating on that turnaround, that there was going to be this image that was going to sell, and then South Korean and Japanese firms are going to move to Cambodia, and they're not going to live in the city, they're going to live in the almost like living in Orange County. We're going to live in the gated community because it was sort of safe. And it was amazing. These 2-bedroom apartment were going for $250,000 inside of Phnom Penh, which is not exactly the most wealthiest city around. But it was interesting to see how that game is being played out.
Well, it's being repeated. I mean,
Repeated
not
over and
repeated.
over.
I mean, it just
It's
happens
being played
everywhere
out.
now.
Yeah,
I
we're
mean,
we're gonna roll this over in 24 months.
Right. And I think what the dilemma is, I mean, we're going back to your library, projects like that, which actually.
But that's a 50-year investment.
No, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is
24-month investment.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
But a project like that puts a community on the map, puts a town on the map,
Right.
and if these things just, let's say glass boxes with some articulation or other, if they start showing up everywhere, not only in New York City and all boroughs, but then it's like a wave across the country, and then in Hong Kong and in wherever you go,
Doesn't
you
matter.
see them.
Yeah.
You just wonder what is different. I mean, I was recently in Hong Kong, and I'm looking at it. I'm thinking I was hoping to see something really
radical.
Not radical, but something really interesting. But there, it's like somehow the last 10 years have not been kind to that town, because it starts looking like any other big city. Right? Now, can we do that? Can it be done? That the glass tower in Hong Kong doesn't look like the glass tower in New York, doesn't look like the glass tower in Los Angeles, wherever you go.
But one is the desire to actually transport back to there. I mean, I lived in LA in the 80s when, essentially Southeast Asia and Asia was like, we want that signature over there. There's no desire to hang out with the Hutong. There was no desire to be
I understand
original.
that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
They
You don't
were
have to live
basically
in
saying
grass
to
huts
be
for the rest of your life just
exactly.
because your grandparents lived
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The question simply is, because it's such an easy and such a, I mean, it's almost you can start up your computer, type in the floors, type in the location, whatever the codes are and requirements, and you get a number of buildings, to choose from, the parametric design approach, you get a number of buildings to choose from, but it could be just anywhere. It doesn't have a site-specific quality like the library, the High Line.
But if we look at a city, if we look across the city and we look at, I mean, what I find interesting about it is all of the ecological and economic timelines that a city represents. I mean, to me, how does the city represent all of those rather than a particular building? And how does the architecture best represent those timelines? I mean, the library is a serious long-term investment. They're not looking to add condos to it or whatever. I mean, there's a commitment to keep it. A lot of your cultural projects, I know, there's a real attempt to nail down the city, to hold it against this downsurge, because there's been a huge shift in the fact that they're worried that globalization is going to bypass them and they're going to work it. I put the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts together across the Moscone Center, which was a very, very interesting project, because that was going up the same time as Battery Park. We did the cultural component, which is the only thing that ever got built, but we based upon it on all the local arts, not the high arts. And the local arts has kept it there because it's long term. And the issue is with most towers is they're short term. I mean, they're towers of commerce, and what's interesting is see Sun City how they've been digesting some of them, and then housing is another one. And the problem is when financial investors go from saying who have been raised on the diet of flipping office buildings in 24 months with 30% returns, saying that's the way we should do public facilities or government or judge buildings or schools or housing, and you go, no, they're not the same thing. The investment is the value, the commitment, the dollars, the whole. I like to say the cultural transactions of how we value is different, and I think that's where right now in this country everybody says it has to be that short-term developer notion of how we should think about university buildings to cultural institutions, everything else. And you go, no, Lincoln Center is not an office building. Office building, by the time we get it done, that company's probably not even going to be that way. I mean, so okay, we'll just digest the sucker, and that kind of thing, and have at it.
Yeah.
So, but we shouldn't be constructing the whole city that way. And I think that's the struggle right now, is that mentality says we should make the whole city that way.